Listeners, imagine a town like Copper Creek, Kansas. Flat plains stretching to the horizon, grain silos painting the skyline, life moving at the steady, predictable rhythm of the seasons. People here know each other, their histories interwoven like threads in a familiar quilt. But what happens when a sudden, blinding spotlight hits one thread, illuminating not just its present shimmer, but a long-hidden snag, a dark knot buried deep within the fabric? This is a story of Martha Gable, whose winning lottery ticket didn't just bring fortune, but forced a reckoning with a past she thought the earth had swallowed whole. Martha Gable lived a life measured in quiet routines. Mornings started with the clatter of the coffee maker and the rustle of the local paper. Days were spent tending her small garden, volunteering at the community library shelving books, and an occasional game of bridge with her small circle of friends. She was a widow, her husband Thomas having passed years ago, leaving behind memories in the small, comfortable house on Willow Lane. Martha was known as kind, reserved, a woman who kept to herself but always had a gentle word and a knowing smile. No one in Copper Creek knew much about her life before she arrived 25 years ago. She had simply appeared, bought the little house, and woven herself into the quiet life of the town. The past, she always implied subtly, was just the past. A different life, best left undisturbed. Every Saturday, without fail, Martha bought a lottery ticket from the Quick Mart down the street. Just one ticket, a Powerball quick pick. It was a small, harmless flutter of hope, a tiny rebellion against predictable march of time. $1.02 that bought a week of gentle possibility. She checked the numbers late Sunday night, a habit she performed with casual detachment. The television glowed softly, listing the winning digits. She sat in her worn armchair, magnifying glass in hand, comparing the printed numbers to the ones on the screen. The first number, match. The second, match. The third, match. Her heart gave a little flutter, the kind you get when you almost stumble but catch yourself. The fourth, match. Her breath hitched. The fifth, match. The magnifying glass trembled in her hand. And then the Powerball, match. Martha Gable, known for her quiet composure, let out a sound that was somewhere between a gasp and a sob. She looked at the ticket, then at the screen, then back at the ticket again and again, as if convinced her eyes were playing tricks. $10 million. It wasn't possible. Not for her. Not for Martha Gable. Disbelief warred with a dizzying sense of reality. $10 million. Enough to ensure security. Enough to help others. Enough to disappear. The last thought sent a cold jolt through her. Disappear. She didn't sleep that night. The darkness of her bedroom felt thicker than usual, filled with the ghosts of numbers and, more terrifyingly, the ghosts of memory. $10 million. It was a spotlight, a massive, unavoidable spotlight. And spotlights had a way of illuminating things best left in the dark. Claiming the money was a blur. The trip to the state lottery office felt surreal. The endless forms, the questions, the blinding flash of cameras despite her request for anonymity, a request politely denied. Major winners were public knowledge. Her face, her name, Martha Gable Copper Creek, were now news. Back in Copper Creek, the news hit like a small, joyous earthquake. Neighbors she'd only waved from her porch were suddenly at her door with congratulations and casseroles. The local newspaper wanted picture. The town mayor called, half-jokingly asking if she considered donating a new flagpole. Martha navigated the initial wave of attention with a polite, strained smile. She was gracious, deflecting questions about her plans, leaning heavily on the advice of Mr. Davison, her kind, sturdy bank manager. "Take your time, Martha," Mr. Davison advised, his voice calm and steady. "Don't make any rash decisions. Get good counsel." But as the initial excitement in town began to settle, a different kind of feeling began to creep in from Martha, a feeling of dread. The publicity wasn't fading. Her photo had been in regional papers, even national news feeds covering large lottery wins. Her quiet corner of the world was no longer quiet. She found herself staring out her window more often, a knot tightening in her stomach. Every unfamiliar car that drove slowly down Willow Lane, every stranger who looked away on the street, sent a shiver of fear down her spine. Was it paranoia, or was it something else? The secret, the one she had carried, heavy and silent, for over 40 years. A night she wished she could erase, a choice made in panic, a life irrevocably altered, not just her own. The money, this blinding stroke of luck, felt less like a gift and more like a terrible, cosmic joke designed to unearth her deepest fear. The secret involved a young man named Billy Carter, a friend of her then-boyfriend, James. It was a summer night, decades ago, near Oak Haven, Pennsylvania. A car, speeding on a dark, winding road. Too much alcohol. A sudden swerve. The sickening crunch of metal against a tree. And Billy hadn't survived. James had been driving. He wasn't badly hurt, just dazed and terrified. Martha was in the passenger seat, shaken but conscious. In the chaotic, terrifying minutes after the crash, James, his face pale with terror, had begged her, "Martha, please, say I wasn't driving. Say Billy was. Just for now, until we figure things out." Panic had seized her. The fear of scandal, of James going to jail, of their young lives being ruined. In that moment of sheer terror, she had agreed. They had tampered with the scene, moving Billy's body, placing him behind the wheel before calling for help, spinning a fabricated story about Billy driving and losing control. The police investigation was cursory by today's standards. James, from a prominent local family, had influence. Martha, young and coached by James, had maintained their story. It was ruled an accident, driver error by the deceased. James went on with his life. Though the incident left a mark on him, Martha carried the lie like a physical weight. Eventually, she couldn't bear being near James or the place where the secret was buried. She moved away, drifted for a few years, changed her name slightly. Her maiden name had been Gable, her married name Vance. She used Gable after Thomas passed, a return to something familiar but slightly different. She ended up in Copper Creek, building a quiet, anonymous life, always looking over her shoulder, always ready to run if the past ever caught up. And now, $10 million later, the past was stirring. It started subtly. A letter arrived, no return address. Inside was just a single yellowed newspaper clipping about the fatal accident in Oak Haven, dated over 40 years ago. Nothing else. No note, no demand. Just the clipping. Martha's hands shook as she read it. Her old name was mentioned, James's name, and Billy Carter's. It was a direct hit. Someone knew. Someone from that time and place had seen her face in the news and sent this message. Her carefully constructed world began to crumble. Sleep became impossible. Every shadow seemed to hold a threat. She saw familiar faces in town and wondered, are they looking at me differently? Do they know? Then came the phone calls. Silent calls, hang-ups. Sometimes, a distorted voice mumbling something she couldn't understand, or perhaps didn't want to understand. Mr. Davison noticed her distress. "Eleanor, are you all right? You seem on edge." "Just the attention, Mr. Davison." She lied, her voice trembling. "It's more than I expected." The financial advisor Mr. Davison recommended, a sharp young woman named Ms. Chun, was efficient and professional. But even she represented a new level of scrutiny Martha wasn't comfortable with. Managing $10 million required revealing a great deal about herself, her assets, her history. How long before something in her past tripped a wire? The anonymous letters escalated. They became more specific, referencing details only someone who knew about the accident or had investigated it thoroughly would know. They weren't asking for money yet. They felt like psychological torture designed to terrify her, to let her know she was exposed. "I know what you did, Martha. Billy deserves justice. The money won't save you." Fear became her constant companion. She jumped at every sound, double-checked every lock. The big, empty house on Willow Lane, once her sanctuary, felt like a trap. She thought about running, disappearing again, with $10 million. She could go anywhere, but where would she go? The fear would follow. The secret was inside her, and whoever was sending the letters clearly had her in their sights. Running felt futile. One day, A man appeared in Copper Creek. He was older, perhaps in his late 60s, with stern face and weary eyes. He didn't approach Martha directly. He was just there, sitting in his car across the street for a while, walking past her house slowly, having coffee at the diner where she sometimes ate lunch. Martha recognized him with a sickening lurch. It was Mr. Peterson, David Peterson, Billy Carter's older brother. She hadn't seen him in 40 years, but she remembered his face from the few times she'd seen him around Oak Haven back then. He had been devastated by Billy's death. He had always looked at James and Martha with suspicion, even after the official ruling. Now he was here, in Copper Creek, watching her. The anonymous letters stopped. The silent calls stopped. David Peterson's quiet, constant presence was a new form of torment. It was clear he had seen the news. He remembered. And he was here because of the money, because it had shone a light on the woman who had walked away from the truth of his brother's death. Martha knew instinctively that he wasn't here for money. He was here for something else. Justice. Or perhaps just to make her face what she had done. The tension became unbearable. Martha couldn't eat, couldn't sleep properly. She avoided her friends, her life shrinking to the confines of her fear. Mr. Davison tried to help, suggesting she hire security. But Martha knew security couldn't protect her from the truth. One rainy afternoon, as Martha was getting into her car outside the grocery store, David Peterson approached her. He didn't shout or accuse. His voice was low, heavy with years of pain. "Martha," he said, his gaze piercing, "you remember me, don't you?" David Peterson. Martha froze, unable to speak. Her heart hammered against her ribs. "I saw you," he continued, his eyes holding hers. "On the television. Martha Gable, living the good life. It seems $10 million. He paused, the rain dripping from the brim of his hat. "My brother Billy is still in the ground, Martha. 40 years. And you and James, you let everyone believe he killed himself with his own recklessness." Tears welled in Martha's eyes. "Mr. Peterson, David, Don't." He held up a hand, stopping her fumbled words. "Don't insult me with excuses. After all this time, I know what happened, Martha. James confessed to me years ago, said he couldn't live with it anymore. He told me everything. Your part in it, how you helped him." Martha felt the world tilt. James had confessed? All these years, she had lived in fear of her part being exposed, not knowing the driver himself had cracked. But James was gone now, passed away a few years back. It was just her and David Peterson and the truth. "He told you everything?" she whispered. "Everything," David confirmed, his voice flat. "How scared you both were, how you moved things, how you lied to the police. He lived with the guilt. Did you, Martha?" The question hung in the damp air between them. Did she live with the guilt? Every single day, every quiet moment, every sleepless night. It had been a silent scream inside her for 40 years. "Yes," she finally managed, the word a painful rasp. "Every day. It was a terrible mistake. A terrible, cowardly mistake. A mistake that cost my brother his name," David said, his voice tinged with bitterness. "His memory is tarnished. People still talk about reckless Billy Carter." Martha felt a wave of profound shame wash over her. The money, the $10 million, suddenly felt like worthless paper. It couldn't buy forgiveness. It couldn't erase the past. What do you want, David?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "Do you want the money? I'll give it to you. All of it." David Peterson looked at her, his expression softening slightly, a flicker of the pain overriding the sternness. "The money?" He scoffed softly. "What would I do with $10 million, Martha? It wouldn't bring Billy back. It wouldn't give him back his future. It wouldn't give him back his good name." He stepped closer, his eyes searching hers. "I saw you on the news, this big win, and I thought, finally, the woman who walked away is in the light. I didn't come for money, Martha. I came because I needed to look you in the eye. I needed to see if you ever regretted it, truly regretted it." "I do," Martha said, tears streaming down her face now. "More than anything, it was the worst moment of my life. Helping James. Lying. James carried it until the end, David said, a hint of sadness in his voice. He told me it destroyed his peace. Did it destroy yours? Yes, she nodded vehemently. It did. For 40 years. I built a life here, David, a quiet life. But I was always waiting for this. He was silent for a long moment, the rain falling steadily around them. Billy was a good kid, Martha. Not reckless. He had plans. He was going to college. That night, it was just kids making a stupid mistake. But the lie was a mistake. It was a choice. I know, Martha whispered, and I made the wrong one. The air crackled with unspoken pain and decades of buried truth. The $10 million that had brought David Peterson to her doorstep now seemed irrelevant. A mere prop in a much larger, much older drama. What happens now? Martha asked, her voice heavy with resignation. Was he going to the police? Was she going to lose everything? Not just the money, but her freedom, her carefully constructed life in Copper Creek? David looked away, towards a quiet street. I don't know, Martha, he said, his voice tired. I honestly don't know. Part of me wants to see you pay for what you did. See the truth come out. But what good would it do now? Billy's gone. James is gone. Would it change anything? He looked back at her, his expression unreadable. I just needed you to know that I know. And I needed you to face it, not hide behind a new life and a mountain of money. He turned and walked away, disappearing into the falling rain. Martha stood there for a long time, the rain soaking her clothes, the lottery ticket in her pocket, feeling like a stone. David Peterson didn't go to the police. Not then, not ever. Perhaps he found his own form of peace in confronting her, in seeing her stripped bare of her defenses, forced to confront her guilt. The $10 million remained, but it was forever tainted. It was the money that had resurrected her past, that had led David Peterson to her, that had forced her reckoning. Martha Gable's life in Copper Creek didn't return to what was before. How could it? She carried the knowledge that her secret was known, that someone out there knew the truth about that night. The quiet peace she had cultivated was shattered, replaced by a fragile, conditional acceptance of her reality. She didn't spend the money lavishly. She used some of it to quietly set up a scholarship fund in Billy Carter's name at college near Oak Haven, something David Peterson found out about through the community grapevine. He sent her one last letter after that, short, just 2 lines. Maybe it's a start. For Billy, she lived out her years in Copper Creek, still reserved, still kind, but with a new depth, a new sadness in her eyes. The lottery ticket had brought her fortune, but its true, devastating impact was the uncovering of a past that reshaped her present entirely. She learned that some debts can never be fully paid, and some truths, no matter how deeply buried, will always find their way to the light, often at the most unexpected and painful moments. The greatest burden wasn't the money. It was the weight of a secret finally exposed. Martha's story is a stark reminder that the past always finds a way to catch up. If you found this narrative compelling, please share your thoughts in the comments below. And for more stories that delve into the unexpected twists of fate, subscribe to the channel.